Good out there? Okay, it's super blurry up here, so that was disappointing. Anyways, my name is Kyle Murphy. I run a little company in Austin called Pleb Lab. Pleb Lab is essentially, it is not essentially, it is the world's first Lightning Bitcoin accelerator program aimed at helping early stage startups like my good friend Michael, who was just up here with Oshi, basically try to push forward faster than they might have been otherwise able to at home by themselves inside of kind of like a bubble. So our thesis was get Bitcoiners together, especially the builders of Bitcoin together into a space, and let's just see what happens with it. So that's a very quick intro into what Pleb Lab is. We've probably all heard that bear markets are for builders. We're currently in the middle of a bear market as we speak, and I can honestly say from what I've seen, it absolutely is for builders. Things are pretty good for the people who are like disciplined leadership, and dedicated teams seem to be doing well. So like my belief is every day is for builders, bullish, bearish, doesn't matter. Grab a bull by the horns or a bear by the balls, just go out and build something. Bitcoin definitely wants everybody to be building things, right? Like it's kind of drawing all of us into this ecosystem to try and contribute more. I got into Bitcoin I was like introduced in 2016. 2020, I actually got skin in the game. And once I got skin in the game, it became very apparent to me very quickly that I needed to be like as involved as I possibly could. Once I hit 100% of my net worth into Bitcoin, I still like needed to do more. Like it just kept calling me. I was like, obviously I'm not doing enough. How can I continue to contribute? I saw two paths forward from there, which was like go out and take out loans, leverage up, pull an FTX, gamble, bad business practices. So the other option I saw was try and contribute through like adding value to the ecosystem. That's the path we decided to go. So I moved to Austin, met some Bitcoiners, started a social club. A bunch of cool people showed up and said, let's get developers together. That's the wrong direction. So we decided to try and do that. And what stemmed from that move was the world's first Bitcoin Lightning Accelerator program. We didn't really know what we had or what we were doing when we kind of first started. I got access to a 10-person office space after I had orange pilled the vice president of operations at the place we were hosting our meetup. So I just kind of decided with our team that it was probably the best way to kind of get out there and get things going was to just try and give it away. I got the office for free. At the time, I had maybe like 38 connections in Bitcoin from the Austin Bitcoin Club. I had probably $8 in my pocket, and I had a 10-person office space. My belief was if we gave it away, something valuable would happen inside, and while it was happening, we could figure out how to kind of grow it from there, and thus Pleb Lab was born. I guess that's explaining it there. So we launched ABC. 30 people showed up. 30 people said, let's get Bitcoiners together more often. BitDevs is great, but it's once a month, and that's lame considering how many of us have now moved to Austin. It's like, why are we not doing this more often? I heard all kind of requests. It was like mini hackathons. I don't even know what a salon is. I never did look at it, but somebody asked me to do a salon. I was like, okay, cool. But the overarching theme was let's get Bitcoin developers together more often than once a month for 2 hours where they just sit in a room and get talked to. So we decided to try and do that. And I guess that idea spawned probably 14, 15 months ago now, maybe 16 months. We're still here, and we're at this point as dialed in as ever. So at the kind of the launch, we didn't really know what we were. We didn't really know what we were doing. We knew we were a couple of guys in Austin with a lot of builders in our town, and we believed we could help people. We had access to a 10-person office space. We gave it away. We said, look, just come, just build with us, and let us see if we can help. And we got busy doing what we do. I've got a good co-founder who does the kind of arts and the media stuff. We had our technical co-founder who's also the CEO of Stacker News. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. Great platform. If you're not on it, check it out. And then I like people, and I think I'm halfway decent at networking, so that's kind of what I got busy doing. And the idea was like we get a bunch of smart people in a room building cool shit, and we try and find people on the outside who have some value to bring it to the inside as well. and just funnel that outside value to the inside value. So basically what we do is we bring people in, they get access to our space, they get access to our advisors. We've put together a pretty decent advisor list. We've got like Matt Odell, Nifty Nye, Lisa Nygaard over at Blockstream, John Cantrell, a bunch of just like really smart people with like a diverse skill set of backgrounds in the Bitcoin space. We've created a partnership with a company probably very few of you may have heard of called the Bitcoin Dev Shop, started by a guy who helped build the one company you probably have heard of, and it's going to completely blank on me. Impervious, there it is. So one of the guys who built Impervious actually started an agency looking to kind of get developers focused on kind of actually being able to help these small startup type people like build out their companies. We've got a guy named Super Testnet. If you guys are a developer, you have probably heard of that guy. He is he's a wizard. He's super on the spectrum. He's the wizard on the spectrum. He cranks out new projects like every 4 hours. I don't know how he does it. He's like, hey, look, I built this new thing that's really cool. And like 6 companies adopted it 6 seconds after I launched it. And I'm over it, so I'm doing this new thing. So he's interesting. So far, what we do, we get people in, we help them with their business planning. We kind of create traction through marketing campaigns, and then we introduce them to a bunch of users, which is great for beta. The launch of Austin Bitcoin Club, BitDevs, which was already in Austin, and the kind of continued growth after those two. So at this point, Austin has 4 or 5 meetups that are all drawing in hundreds of people per week. So it's good exposure for the brands that come in. They get access to early beta stage users to kind of get feedback and continue to reiterate on their projects. And then a lot of media and marketing. So my co-founder actually took over in the early days as the producer over at TFTC, another thing some of you may have heard of. And yeah, since we launched, I think we legally became a business 7 months ago. Since we've launched, there has been like a continuation of these projects, both pleb-driven and much more financialized. I mean, the idea of an accelerator is not new. The way Pleb Lab's going about it is kind of new. We're trying to reimagine the accelerator for a Bitcoin era. The builders in Bitcoin are a little different, and the ethos behind much of why and what we're building is significantly different. So at this point, there are programs popping up in Tel Aviv, Israel. We've got some people launching some initiatives in Bangkok. There's programs in Nashville. The recent announcement by NY Dig up in New York to do an accelerator program there. The Drapers, I've had some conversations with. It's been interesting. So it's really cool to see how all of that's playing out. Since we launched, again, a little over 7 months ago, the original group, a cohort, if you will. I mean, Pleb Lab doesn't really do cohorts. We do friendships and family. So if you're looking to build and you're looking to like build real relationships, that's kind of what we do at Pleb Lab. We like stop giving you access to the space for free once you raise your first round of financing, but if you haven't raised the financing and you keep showing up, we're going to keep working with you because we believe in you and we want to see you succeed. The first group of people, Zapprite, Oshi, Stacker News, and a few others, we've helped them raise a little over $2 million now. So from 0 to 2 million, I think is a pretty good start. Our thesis at this point is pretty simple. I think what we've seen pretty much up until now in the Bitcoin space is that we've been hyper-focused on the growth of Bitcoin, the infrastructure layer. We've been building out the things that allow people to build on Bitcoin. And our message is that like it's now time to start building the things on that infrastructure layer. We got like good friends over at Voltage. They're like a prime example. It's like this infrastructure was specifically built to have the application layer built on top of it. And I think at this point, things will grow bigger, stronger, faster. Once we have more applications, we touched on it in the panel with the 1,000 Bitcoin beaches bloom. It's like the more utility, the more use case, the more application layer we can build on top of Bitcoin, the more accessible it becomes to more people more easily. I mean, in 1989, the internet was great. It was a real tool, but who the hell was using it? Like literally nobody, because email didn't exist yet. And like before email, there was literally almost no practical application for the infrastructure layer that was TCP/IP. Education, I think that's probably where we see a lot of what's happen right now. I mean, this conference is a prime example. It's like most of us, if you're into Bitcoin long enough, I think you've kind of had at least a handful of the conferences where a guy sits on stage and says, Bitcoin good, buy Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin, it's great, it's the future. Like, okay, great, but now what? And I think that's part of where we're going, is this push into education. I think we're seeing a trend where there's like these smaller, like close to home conferences. They're high signal, they're focused on education, they're focused on the builders. I think that's going to continue. That's where we're pushing some of our focus. We recently launched or helped to facilitate the launch of a Bitcoin only engineering class at UT Austin. We've got some announcements coming that I won't give away on stage. I love the announcement of an announcement. So stay tuned at Pleb Lab on Twitter. We'll have some announcements coming soon on some educational stuff that I think you'll like, especially if you're interested in building an application on Bitcoin. And yeah, so that's it. It's like, why Bitcoin? I think that's a very simple place to get started with people. I think we should be trying to educate people on why Bitcoin is important, why you should be building on Bitcoin, and maybe a little bit of the like why you probably shouldn't be building on the other things. Point them in the direction of the resources. To Michael's point, it's like, where are the tools? What are the tools? Point people in those directions, because the how is so much easier once they've been connected to the why, they've been connected to the how, and then the resources. And then once they know how, I think the last step is kind of exactly what Pleb Lab's doing, which is trying to provide people a community. If you're looking to build on Bitcoin, it's probably more beneficial to be sitting in a room with other people who are also trying to drive that mission forward than to be sitting in your lodge by yourself in like Whistler, Canada with no access to community. So I'm sorry, John, I know you're stuck in Canada. Hashtag let John back in. So yeah, if you guys are interested, if you know anybody who might be interested in building something cool, send them to pleblab.com. I think that's pretty much everything. So after this, I'll pretty much open it up to questions and you guys can hit me with what you've got. Like, what's the exchange between us and the companies? So the original version of it was nothing. We gave it away for free because back then we didn't have any idea what we were doing. It seemed silly to ask these guys who were just like looking for help to look, I'm nobody. Who the hell am I? So it was like, no cash, no equity. I'm going to give you access to this space. As things have progressed, what we're doing now is a similar equity model to the kind of way that the average accelerator works. You come in with a company. Most of the time, people don't even come in with a company. They come in with like a really bold idea and like a strong work ethic, and we help them even get to the stage where they're officially a company, and we take a small equity stake in the company that it typically is valued at that moment in time at nothing. And then we work to try and help them, their team, and us turn that equity into something. So it's an equity model. That would be amazing. I was talking to Chimbera earlier about some kind of community connections to Pleb Lab. One of our investors back there in the corner also in the early days suggested we have like Pleb Labs all over the place. We launched one in New York, we launched one in San Francisco, we launched one in El Salvador. I think it's a great idea. I'm definitely not opposed to it. I think for us, the step between here and like a second physical location would be trying to find a way to expand our presence online, making it just more accessible to global people without the need to be in that physical location, but still providing that sense of community. But before we even get there, we're still really early, and we're trying to prove that it works even in Austin, where there's probably a higher concentration of Lightning developers than anywhere on Earth. So our idea at the moment is still like, let's just stay hyper-focused on building out the thing in the city where it makes the most sense and see if it works. Because if it doesn't work there, then it's not going to really, my guess would be that it's not ready to work anywhere else. So we're going to continue to just prove it out in Austin, and we're looking at roadmap for ways to expand into other locations, but it's a little further down the road.
Maybe some off-sites here and there, spend a month here, try to deploy some things here in San Salvador where people might be more open to it.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. I think one of the things that's not exactly an accelerator, but I think has been a great thing for the space for building is a huge expansion of both physical and online programs for like hackathons. The guys at like Bolt.fun are doing a great thing right now where it's like 8 weeks. They've gotten a lot of prize money. They're getting builders together in a community space and they're having them build. So I would say in kind of communities around the world. I mean, look, if you want to like, I'm not the only person out there building an accelerator or a space for Bitcoin and workers. Like I said, that's since we've launched, it's like sprung up literally in dozens of places around the world. So I think if you're out there and you're thinking like I could create a space to get these people together, I know some of these people, probably go out and try and do it. Hackathons are a great resource to get developers together and get them building. So there's a lot of options. And yeah, again, we'll explore it at some point. Anybody else? Mr. Abbasi? Good to see you, man. All right, cool. I mean, I don't know where my time's at, but I guess that's basically it.